Greetings, folks. I'm heading on down to Clonmel in Tipperary today for their peaceful protest at 1 o'clock. And why don't ye, the great people of Ireland, come and support the great people of Tipperary and Clonmel in relation to this mass invasion of IPAS centres that the county of Tipperary has been inflicted with. And I'll tell you the reasons why you should. Tipperary has always been strong. They're the heartland of resistance. Their county gave this nation men like Dan Breen, who led the flying column of the 3rd Tipperary Brigade, alongside Sean Tracy, Sean Hogan and Tom Barry. These men risked everything to stand for Irish freedom, community and the right to decide our own future. And yet today, that very right is being stolen from us, quietly, without our consent and without a vote. We are going to Clonmel today because we love our community. We love our streets, our family, our identity, and most of all, our right to decide what happens to where we live. Tipperary is being targeted. Make no mistake. Towns and villages across this country are being quietly transformed without consent, without conversation, and without a care for the people already living in the area. In Dundrum, in Tipperary, a village of just over 220 people, the government plans to house up to 500 asylum seekers in Dundrum House. And thanks to a €20 million contract awarded to a newly formed Spanish company. No proper public consultation, no transparency, just bulldozed decisions. And in Thurles, we've seen a community flooded with unvetted, mostly male migrants, while locals are told to stay quiet. We're seeing the same plan unfolding here in Clonmel, where 5 hectares have been earmarked for what will become the largest asylum processing centre in the country. We are not going to Clonmel today to attack the vulnerable people seeking refuge, but we are absolutely going to Clonmel to demand that our communities come first, that the decisions be made with us, not forced upon us. This is not about colour or nationality. It's about capacity, consultation and country. It is about our right to be heard. We are told to stay quiet. We are told to accept this. But I ask you this, is this what Dan Breen fought for? Is this what Sean Tracy died for? Is this the Ireland we believe in? This isn't accidental. This is a deliberate policy. And we have a right to ask, who is behind it? Who is making the decisions and who is profiting from it? Of course, we all know that the government is to blame. But look, let's dig a little bit deeper and look further. A recent Bloomberg investigation entitled Ireland Anti-Migrant Rangelands are on a hedge fund trade's doorstep raised questions that we cannot ignore. According to the Bloomberg report, Peter McGarry, a wealthy hedge fund trader from Kildare, who now I believe lives in Switzerland for tax purposes, is one of the key figures profiting from Ireland's asylum system, along with his wife Melanie and his business partners Niall and Christopher Collins of Premier Brook. He is also of Bright Pearl Unlimited, which owns Townbee, a major player in asylum housing contracts, along with Paul Collins of Bandon in West Cork. McGarry is a top earner for Garda Capital Partners, an $11 billion hedge fund backed by Cargill, a US mega corporation with over $165 billion in revenues. Bloomberg calls Townbee's expansion into asylum accommodation a well-timed investment. While our schools are overcrowded, while housing lists grow, and while local communities struggle, properties across Ireland are being bought up and converted into refugee centres for massive private profit. And we, the people, are being shut up out of the conversation. Bloomberg also reports that sellers of vacant properties are being approached by buyers looking to convert buildings into accommodation for asylum seekers. One global law firm, DLA Piper, has even called this sector a strong performer in a presentation aimed at so-called savvy investors. But what about us, the ordinary Irish people, who must live with these decisions without services, without safety nets and without a voice? These investors don't want controversy of the Coolock or the protesters in Tipperary, but they do want the millions in government contracts. They want their social purpose headlines while turning record profits. They sponsor environmental prizes for school children, but won't face the people whose towns they're changing forever. Meanwhile, mainstream media like RTE and established parties and even groups claiming to fight for justice protect the system. Anyone who asks a question is branded a bigot. We will not be silenced. We will not be ashamed for loving our home. This is not about hate. It's about respect, resources and rights. It's about standing up for the people who already live here and a country built and a county built on community, not corruption. Remember our history. Dan Breen, Sean Tracy and the men of the 3rd Tipperary Brigade fought for an Ireland where people, not foreign corporations or offshore hedge funds, would have the final say. Today, we honour them, not by violence, but by raising our voices peacefully and proudly against a system that has abandoned its own Irish citizens. We demand immediate halt to the Clonmel IPAS Centre, immediate halt to the Clonmel Mosque going ahead, immediate halt to transparency in all government housing contracts, local referendums before any major asylum centre is placed in any Irish town, priority for Irish citizens in housing, services and safety. We are asking for balance and transparency and respect. Not one of us that are going to this protest today in Clonmel is against helping others, but we are against our communities being treated like places to hide a national crisis. We're against secret deals. We're against reckless contracts and silent planning. And those in power, let's be clear, we wouldn't be attending Clonmel today if their own elected representatives stood up for them. Michael Lowry, a TD for the county for decades, has failed the people of Tipperary, and he's not alone. There are others who claim to speak for rural Ireland and have sat by while our communities have turned upside down while profiteering at the same time. They had no chance to say no, but instead they had to let this happen. They allowed Tipperary to become a dumping ground, not just for migrants, but for failed government policy and profit-driven schemes that have no regard for local people. We must ask, why Clonmel? Why build one of the largest modular housing developments in Ireland right here on 5 hectares of land and plan to fill it without proper consultation with unvetted, undocumented men? Is it really just housing, or is Clonmel being quietly turned into a strategic hub given its access to Cork, Shannon and Dublin airports, its proximity to Dublin and to Rosslare and Foynes Port? This is not a coincidence. This is intentional placement, and we have the right to question it. We have the right to demand answers. And we say to the government and to those who stood by in silence, shame on you. You were elected to protect the people, and instead you have betrayed them. Let me ask you, where was your TD, Michael Lowry, when all this was being decided? Where was his voice? The people of Tipperary have been let down, not just by one politician, but by a government that listens to hedge funds. Croke Park, the sacred grounds where Irish heroes have fought and played, is being handed over in June for a paid EID celebration, an Islamic religious festival. This was announced with the blessing of the GAA President Jarlath Burns. former President Sean Kelly and CEO of the GAA Gavin Kelly and their board. Michael Cusack and Maurice Davin, who founded the GAA and Hayes Hotel in Thurles in 1884, must be turning in their graves. Croke Park is more than a stadium. It is a symbol of Irish resilience and culture. It is where Irish blood was spilled on Bloody Sunday, and now it has been rented out for profit, and now also a mosque being built in Clonmel. What next? Irish people, wake up. We are being ignored, silenced and sidelined in our own land. But we are not powerless. We must protest peacefully, right to the GAA, right to our TDs. Donate where we can and support those who stand for Ireland. I want to thank the hundreds who have supported the Keen Save Ireland movement GoFundMe page. We have raised €6,000 already. Imagine what I could do if we raised over €600,000. Imagine, people, what we can achieve together. Let today be a turning point in Clonmel. Not a cry for hate, but a roar for unity. Not a call for division, but a call for dignity, fairness and sovereignty. Let them hear us in Dublin. Let them hear us in Geneva. Tipperary will not be silenced. Ireland will not be sold. We are not going away. Ireland for the Irish. Thank you. Gura Míle Maith Agaibh.